harm's way, sacrifice everything so we can do this.
Amen.
I have a few people that I want to recognize tonight being here. Some organizations that have so graciously come out to support this. But I want to be honest with all of you. It's not about you supporting us. It's about us honoring you. I'm kind of an emotional guy. Most people that know me. Sometimes I have a hard time getting through speeches without shedding tears. But I'm humbled. I'm humbled to be in the presence of so many of our nation's finest. The man who put all this on this beautiful canvas tonight contacted me a few weeks ago, and he asked me for my help. And when he told me what it was going to be all about, I felt so humbled and honored to be a part of it. And I thought to myself, how could I refuse that? As a person that grew up in the military, my father was Air Force, traveled around. My mother was in the Air Force. To be a patriot, to always look up to those who put themselves last and others first. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the privilege tonight to have many first responders. You've seen all the vehicles, fire departments, sheriff departments, police departments, EMS. We're here tonight to honor them, and I just want to recognize for just a minute each individual group that's here. The Belmont County Sheriff's Department, Dave Lucas and his people are here. The Barnesville Fire Department's here. Barnesville EMS here. And my very good friends, the Barnesville Police Department. Somerton's Fire Department's here. Cumberland Trail Fire Department. Fairview Fire Department. Belmont Fire Department. Bethesda Fire and EMS are here tonight. Our county coroner's here tonight. I hope we don't need him. Kind of thought of that after I said it. No offense, Tim. We have many military veterans here tonight. Let's hear it for them. We have my good friend from the State Highway Patrols here tonight. We have this group of men down here, our veterans, this color guard tonight. We have some honorees that I would like to recognize at this time. If you'll join with me. This first man I'd like to introduce was in the 8th Army Air Corps, B-17 unit, World War II. Mr. Robert Harris. Next person I'd like to introduce is in the United States Navy. He was a radarman, 2nd class, Mr. John Pearsall. This man spent 2 tours in Vietnam. He saw a lot. He came home. He's proud to be here tonight, and I'm proud to call him my friend. From the United States Marine Corps, Sergeant Bill Hamilton. United States Navy's represented here tonight. Quartermaster, 3rd class, served on the USS Independence from 62 to 64. Mr. Don Eberhardt. Yay! A fellow you're going to hear a little bit more about later on, I'd like to recognize now. I'd like to introduce to you to a fine man I've known for many years. He's a gentleman, he's a pastor, but he's also a Navy aviator. He was an attack pilot. He flew many missions, participated in Operation Eagle Claw, Operation Bright Star, the Gulf of Sidra 1, and Operation Lebanon. It is my proud honor to introduce to you Lieutenant Commander Kurt Hallstrom, United States Navy. Last but not least, I'd like to introduce to you to a man I've come to know over the last few years with the most respect. I'd like to introduce to all of you. This gentleman was in the Army Air Corps for over 15 years. He was a master sergeant in the Korean War. And he's down here in his uniform tonight, Master Sergeant Carl B. Elliott. Let's please give all these veterans our respect with another round of applause.
Pieces. Ready. Aim. Fire. 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 Hard. Reset. On.
I want you all to understand it started with a vision. It started with one lieutenant commander's dream to have this memorial on the side of this barn for all that passed, to see and be reminded each time that we're able to do this because of men like this and men and women you see standing up there, to be reminded each time they see this beautiful barn. Today we have our Boy Scouts that are going to unveil. Anytime, boys.
And you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does the star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Man, what a wonderful way to kick off Memorial Day weekend. It's good to see all of you here on such a lovely evening. You know, weekend where, you know, we take time to honor those that have sacrificed so much to provide the freedom that we all enjoy, and those have sacrificed so much to provide the safety that we take sometimes for granted every day, whether we're walking, you know, the streets or, you know, at a time of duress with our police, fire, and EMS personnel. So sometimes you try to think about how, you know, in certain points of your life, you think of times when you really appreciate even more so those sacrifices. And for me, it always comes to when I was living in Washington, D.C. on September 11th, and, you know, working there and living only about a half a mile from the Pentagon, and knowing individuals that lost loved ones, you know, working in that building, that were spending every day basically trying to make sure that our country was as safe as possible, and watching all the local police, fire, and EMS, you know, scatter across the city trying to make sure that people were as safe as possible while fighter pilots were circling the city. You know, you never forget an image like that and what those individuals were willing to risk to make sure that so many could be as safe as possible, and in a time when, you know, everyone felt completely opposite of that. So, you know, you think of those types of things and you think, man, how much, you know, I owe all those individuals that are there to protect us in times like that. And you think of a quote by Winston Churchill: it said, "Never was so much owed to so many few." And I don't think that there's a better way to kind of put that. So for all of you out there in the crowd that have sacrificed so much, either personally or through loved ones, all of our fire, EMS, police, and in attendance, please let's give them a round of applause and thank them so much for everything they've done for us. And I will say one last thing, man, this looks great, right? We have so many talented people in our county, and Scott's an example of that, and the work that he did here is beautiful, and work that he's done all across the state of Ohio and other locations. It's really something to be truly proud of, and I plan on driving past here many times to see this. So with that, hope everyone has a great evening, hope everyone has a great Memorial Day weekend. Thank you.
I contacted Congressman Bill Johnson's office. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here, but he said if I can't be there, I'll send somebody to be there. So I'd like to introduce to all of you Kevin Smart from Congressman Bill Johnson's office.
Well, thanks for having me here today. I'll try to make this brief. Last time I was in front of a microphone, I fainted, so just try to avoid that tonight. I was walking up, and before I was talking to Scott, I saw this, and I just don't have any words to describe how this makes me feel just to see that stuff throughout our congressional district. So can we give a round of applause to Scott? This is just amazing. And to know that he did that in less than a week is really impressive. If I could, Scott, can I have you come up here next to me real fast? Scott, I know you're down there. I saw you. I was just talking to you. But yeah, my boss, Congressman Johnson, couldn't be here, so he wanted to send me just to make sure that Scott knew how much he appreciates this kind of stuff. I don't know if any of you know this or not, but Congressman Johnson is a 26-and-a-half-year veteran, served in the United States Air Force during the time of Vietnam. So this kind of stuff is really meaningful to him. So he just kind of wanted to show his appreciation, and I'll kind of read this proclamation from him. On behalf of the people of the Ohio's 6th Congressional District, I am honored to recognize Scott Hagan on the occasion of the unveiling of his barn mural, Land of the Free, honoring American veterans and first responders. American military members and first responders put their lives on the line every day to protect us. Scott, known around Ohio as the Barn Artist, has done a wonderful job honoring them through his newest work on a barn owned by Navy veteran Kurt Hailstrom and his wife Susan in Barnesville. The message of the mural is especially fitting on this Memorial Day weekend. Thus, with great pride, I congratulate Scott Hagan on the unveiling of his Barnesville barn mural honoring American veterans and first responders, thank him for his work, and extend to him best wishes for the future. I look forward to seeing more of his murals throughout the region. Signed on this day, the 25th of May, 2018, Bill Johnson, Member of Congress. Congratulations, Scott. Thank you.
Good evening. If tomorrow all the things were gone I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I'd thank my God above to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, there's a pride in every American's heart, and it's time we stand and say, sing with me, that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me, and I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
The next person I'd like to introduce to you tonight to come up and say a few words is somebody that's very dear to me, somebody that's very dear to Belmont County. He's a native of this area, born and raised. He's done so much for this area and for our communities over his years of service. I'd like you to help me welcome Senator Jim Carnes up here.
Thank you very much. It is indeed a pleasure to be here this evening. I first want to thank most certainly Scott Hagan, J.B. Holliday, Kurt and Susan Holstrom, and anyone else that had anything to do with putting this tremendous event together. And I have to say, mentioning Scott Hagan, Frankie Lee and I have the privilege of going to church with them every Sunday, his family, and what a tremendous talent we have in Scott, that this whole area, as he travels the United States of America, showing his tremendous talent. What a wonderful thing to have him from Belmont County. And I get comments all the time about that. Thank you, Scott, from the bottom of our hearts. Thomas Jefferson once said, "The price of freedom is eternal vigilance." The freedom enjoyed by all of us as citizens of this great country is due to the dedication and sacrifice of our men and women who have served in America's armed forces. And we most certainly add our first responders. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I've always considered it a tremendous privilege when I got to speak to veterans groups, because that has to be one of the greatest privileges that any of us can have. In a congressional speech many years ago, a Mr. Hammersmith said, "There is a voice in our land which speaks about America to those who will hear. It tells us that we must make a proper use of the strengths, and that the battle of survival is not for the strong alone, but also to the vigilant and the brave. It tells us that our forebears forged a government respectful of personal freedoms at great individual and collective cost. It tells us that the preservation of that heritage is a responsibility bequeathed to us so that future generations of Americans may also have that precious gift of liberty. It tells us that throughout our past, wars have taken a heavy toll on both the youth and the resources of our nation. It tells us that the span of a nation's life has been a mighty bond because of the sacrifice of its citizens, some of whom have been called to arms and who have lost their health, and yes, even their lives. The voice is not an abstraction, it's a living, vibrant call to all who will hear it. We would do well this day to listen to that voice and then to often repeat its truthful words. We need not be historians to understand that every generation of Americans has owed a debt to the past, and that every generation that comes after us will in turn inherit this debt. President Bush said on September 11, 2002, exactly 1 year after 9/11, quote, "We have seen the greatness of America in airline passengers who defied their hijackers, and ran a plane into the ground to spare the lives of others. We have seen the greatness of America in rescuers who reached up flights of stairs with great peril. And we see continued the greatness of America in the care and compassion of our citizens and show that they show to each other," end quote. The challenge of living for freedom which has been handed to each of us, demands a special kind of faith in the future of America. It's a faith that says we will bequeath to our children and theirs a full measure of that which comes to us. This nation does not and will not forget those who labored mightily in its cause, who suffered in its defense, who became disabled in its preservation. Our nation and our people are remarkable. The government they have achieved is the envy of the world. It's one that often draws strength from adversity. It thrives on the impossible idea that free people can collectively govern themselves in order and in dignity. It dares to challenge the future with the promise of a better tomorrow. Today, when I look around and I see American veterans, and I see first responders, I see good people who know and who love America. Thank you for the bottom of your heart, of our hearts, for your service to our country. Thank you very much.
All right. I know it's hot, right? It felt like it was snowing last week, and then now we're hot. Believe me, it gets hot up there on the barn. You know, again, the most important thing about, I keep hearing my name over and over and over. That's great, thank you for that, but it's not about me, it's about the opportunity here that I had. The opportunity here that I had was given to me by the Holstrom family and Kurt Holstrom. I'd like them to come up front, please. Make your way on up here. It sounds like me, like, it's probably been a couple months ago. You know, I'll go back a couple years. You want to set those right here? There you are. Probably a couple years ago, Kurt contacted me about wanting something on his barn. And I hear that a lot, you know, and then sometimes things happen, sometimes they don't. But then a couple months ago, he told me that he'd like to have something painted on his barn, and he talked about just lettering, land of the free and home of the, and because of the brave. Right? That's really all he wanted. He didn't ask for all this attention. So that's for sure. And let me tell you, he's put so much time and so many hours, and Susan as well, working here. You should have seen the barn about even a few days ago, let alone a week ago. He's put so much time into this barn. And you know, that's one thing, it's refreshing that I get to see when I paint in different areas, people fixing up their old barns. These things aren't going to be around much longer. And because of guys like this, they're going to stay a little bit longer. And this barn was 1837, okay? And this is a well-known to this area for the farming that it was right here. And you think about the history here, it's awesome. But I want to present to you just a little gift. This is I found out. I know you know the work, and I found that out yesterday. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute.
We spent a lot of money at his place.
Would you like to say something?
That's all right. I'm next.
Okay. Thank you for everything you've done for me here. I'm sorry it was a stressful week. Today was pretty stressful, honest with you. But we got it together, did we not? How about that? Thank you. Really, Susan took care of most of the hot dogs, but everything there, right? Silicon and Dutton has helped us out here. We needed grillers, and they're like, hey, we'll grill. So we appreciate that, especially the water today. I'm rambling, but like I said, I'm going to use this platform. Just real quick, a couple classmates of mine are in the band, Micah Fox, Josh. Where are those guys at? Josh Hetrick, there they are. Classmates of mine are in the band. Just thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. This is awesome. A stage in front of my painting. It's awesome. All right. Another thing real quick. Is there anybody here that I have worked for, painted for, done something for in the past among the crowd today? If you are, please stand and raise your hand. I've seen a few of you. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there? Look at this. Look at this. There's some more back there that I haven't seen yet. Look at that. All right. Several of you have flags on your barns, don't you? I would love, and I have a goal, I don't know if it will ever happen, I would love to be able to paint a flag in every state. I don't know if it can happen, but I'm hoping this could be a boost to make that a possibility. I think I've got 5 or 6 states right now. I've painted in about 20 altogether. But the flags I just love to do because people honk when they're going by, they see it, they love it. And you know what? American or Americana is still alive today, believe me. I see it out in the country. I do. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm about to paint that barn, and I was actually going to paint I wanted to paint a Tasmanian devil on the barn. And my dad was mowing the pasture, similar to here, he was mowing the pasture, and I hear him shut the tractor off while I'm getting the ladder out. He says, "I don't want a devil in my barn." Little did I know what that meant. At the time, it was like, I hated that, because I'm like, oh, I want to do this, it's going to be awesome. So I switched up and did the Ohio State logo, which ended up in the Barnesville Enterprise because my grandfather, Don Hagen, took pictures of it, and I didn't know, but he drove the film right up here into town and had it developed and marched it right over the Barnesville Enterprise and said, "Look at my grandson's work." So I paint the barn. A few weeks later, I get this interview, and they run a story in the paper. It was in color on the front page. If you keep track of all the stuff that had to happen for me to do this, feel free. It was in the front page of this paper, and the lady from Columbus, Ohio, by the name of Nicola Moretti, just happened to be in this area the week that was in circulation. Okay? So she was here and saw that, and I hope I get this right, but she remembered the mail pouch growing up and what that meant to her as a family. And they were about to do billboards all across the state for the Ohio Bicentennial that was coming up in 2003. This is 1997. It was her vision. Why don't we do barns instead of billboards? She took the Barnesville Enterprise to Columbus, Ohio. I don't know, she talked them into even calling me. I'm 19 years old at the time I get this call, and what's Ohio Bicentennial? What's that even mean? They ended up hiring me to do, they wanted to do, maybe a couple barns here and there and see how it went. The first barn we did in Belmont County was done almost 20 years to the day, to today. The first barn of the 88 counties I ended up doing. That's amazing. And thank you. I cut that a little short, but the intention was to do a few barns and then see if we can work up to doing 88. But it hit the AP, and then so they ended up, they kind of had to do 88. But I'm going to tell you, the first barn I did, it took about 4 days. And I think by the time I was done, I could do one in about 8 hours. But it didn't look very good. I think Nicole would probably admit that, if she remembers. In fairness, I had to look at, freehanding all this stuff, I had an image about this big to blow up and paint on the barn. So that's one reason why it didn't look very good, Nicole. Nicole is here today from Pennsylvania. She came all the way. I told her about this. She's like, "Yeah, I'll come." That sounds like the Nicole I remember. I should say Nicola. Would you come up here, please? I have something for you. When we did the 88 counties, actually officially there's 89, she was actually the one doing this, running this, and doing this multiple times across the state. And so I would just come in and paint, she would do all that, and I get to go home. So it's reversed. Thank you. Thank you for coming. So I'm going to present this to you. Does anybody know this work? Luke Johnson. This is his work, Barnesville, and this is something from this area I wanted to try to find. I think the Holstroms probably already have a few of those, but I couldn't think of anything else. But thank you for that. I mean, it really is.
It's always was one of my favorite counties.
Right? Okay, thanks. I'm glad it was.
Me too.
All right.
You were 19 and I was 22.
That's been really?
They turned us loose on the world that young.
Wow, you're right. She said she was 22, I was 19 at the time. I didn't even realize it was that. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's, like she said, they turned a 22-year-old and a 19-year-old loose on the state, and it worked out pretty good. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So I've been a little windy. I think that's it. I want to check. I think that's it. So, you know what? Again, I can't thank you enough for coming. This blows me away that this happened. It worked. We were all hustling. I was nervous, and it worked. So this is great. Thank you so much.
Again, I want to thank everybody that's present. One more round of applause for our law enforcement officers up here. So many fire departments that showed up out here tonight. Our EMS services. I want to thank our war veterans for coming out here tonight and letting us honor you. Our local color guard that was here tonight that saluted our fallen, we want to thank you. Before we go, I want all of you to know that down here is a bunch of food that needs eaten. Sulik and Dutton has provided all the refreshments down there. Please come down, stick around for a while, mingle. Take time to go shake the hand of an officer, of a fireman, EMS. Take time to thank them. Believe me, they don't get thanked very often. They need it. They need that pat on the back. Please take time to introduce yourselves to our speakers and also to our barn artists, our host, Kurt and Susan Hallstrom. We want to thank you so much. It has been my honor and my privilege to be a part of this. At this time, I would like to ask Pastor Kurt Hallstrom to come up and deliver the benediction.
It's a lonely walk in front of this many people. At least I didn't fall on my face. I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank God for giving us a beautiful day. And I want to thank the first responders and the folks that are here to help us out and what they do every day, and the folks that are serving in places that many of us can't even pronounce right now. We need to remember them, because this the reason we can do this is what they do for us. I want to thank again Sulik and Dutton and the speakers, the Hirschberger family and Joe's Tires. They gave us the lift so Scott didn't have to be up there on a ladder and me be nervous and my wife being chewing her nails. So they helped us out a lot. And anybody else who contributed that I didn't remember. You know, Barnes and Freedom have a lot in common. The men who gave us, both of them, are long gone. And if we neglect them, and it will only take one generation of neglect, they'll both be gone forever, never to be replaced, never to be rebuilt. A lot of people say freedom with technology and all the things that we see and wonderful things that we have today, we don't need it anymore, kind of like these old barns. And I'll tell you what, if we lose our freedom, we lose something that will never be replaced. And we defile the memory of those who gave it to us. and the sacrifice of those who gave it to us. One of the things that goes with this is a sign that says, "Earn this." And we as citizens should do our best to earn it every day. Let us be in prayer. Lord, we thank you for the beautiful time that you've given us, this fellowship of those who love your country, that you've given us, and the freedom. We ask, Lord, that you'd help us protect it, that you'd renew in each of our hearts the appreciation for the sacrifices that have been made, those last full measures that have been paid, the mothers who have given their utmost and their all. We ask, Lord, that you would bless this country, that you might give us a revival of spirit and a revival of love. We ask, Lord, that you would give us the ability to once again be that shining city on the hill, that beautiful place that you've set aside. We ask, Lord, that you would instill in us that good heart, that we might be called again one nation under God. These things we pray in Christ's name. Amen. Amen. Don't forget the food. It's got to be eaten because I can't take it home. There's flags down there. Everybody ought to leave with a flag because I don't know what I'll have to wallpaper the house in. Thanks a lot for coming. Bluegrass Band starts back up now. Don't leave. Almost Famous.
Thank you.